Welcome to the KM091 Vale. Hi there, this week we are talking about bee vandals, council RatBags, and what to do with extra queen cells. This is episode 91 of our Beekeeping podcast.
That's right, and welcome back, Margaret.
Thank you.
And this week we like to thank the Thinking Bee podcast. They've been supporting the KM091 Buzz for over 4 months.
Yeah, so thank you for all your support.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And if you out there, if you value what we do, consider supporting us on kiwi.mana.co.nz/banana.
Yeah, that's an awesome one to do, eh? You'll remember that, won't you, guys?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and it's May 2016, and here in New Zealand we are just going through the end of our autumn, and I think winter hit this week. What do you think?
It's pretty cold. It's very cold all over the country tonight, and we had a lot of thunderstorms and rain and wind. Yeah,
definitely nature just showing its power.
Yep, absolutely.
Or is it her power? Anyway, welcome to the KM091 Buzz.
Yes, and I'm Gary, and that's Margaret.
Hi.
And we are beekeepers from the hills of the Waitaki Ranges in West Auckland, New Zealand. And our podcast is about beekeeping, gardening, and political issues about environmental concerns we may have.
Yes, that's it.
And we've got some concerns tonight, haven't we?
We have, and you'll hear about them. And, we also go off on a few tangents about other issues to just take you on a different kind of journey that,
Absolutely.
We hope you enjoy.
Yep, and all the links and show notes are at kiwi.bz or bz/91.
Awesome.
And we've got a big shout out this week to all our listeners in Connecticut in the United States of America.
Yay, Connecticut.
And also to Jim and Jill in Wellington who...
Yeah, yay Wellington, which, that's who I spent some time with while I was away, and I helped them do a treatment of vaporization on their 6 hives. And while I was there, I felt my first real earthquake, 5.7 on the Richter scale. So that was a bit of an interesting moment. It didn't last that long, but I felt it.
Shocking.
Yeah. Shaking it up down there in Wellington.
Well, so they've got 6 hives now. Last time we were there, they had 2.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, thanks so much for your hospitality and kindness, Jim and Jill. And, it was awesome to catch up again.
Absolutely. And did you know that even though walking on your hands is really cool, just make sure you don't do it crossing any streets when you're in Hartford, Connecticut, because it's illegal.
Good on them to rule on these things, and then there's some councils that are ruling on stuff which is just appalling, and you'll hear about that as we go along.
And this is, the good point there. They're ruling on the important issues in Connecticut. That's awesome.
And a bit of a tangent. This is what I heard today.
Banana!
Yeah, check this out, guys. I've put a link on there to radionz.co.nz, and they interviewed a lady called Lorna Piatti-Farnell, and she wrote a book about the history of...
Banana!
Of the banana. And it's actually quite a good read, and I thought you guys might like to have a look at that. And she talks about some interesting stuff which involves bananas. So,
is it a serious book about bananas?
Yeah, it really is. It's a bright yellow cover. It's just, she sounds like she's done quite a bit of research on how things came to be, like the old slipping on the banana.
Which is a myth, isn't it?
Ah, well, you'll have to read the book to find out, Gary.
Well, thanks for listening to the show. We know your life is busy, and we really appreciate you've taken the time to listen to the show today. So thanks a lot for coming along.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us. And, Gary works hard to get this out to you. And, we do a bit of work through this. So we just hope that you value what we present today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, what's happening at KM091?
Yeah, Gary, what's been going on in your neck of the KM091 April or HQ?
Well, been a lonely time, been here by myself, working hard.
all by myself.
But I discovered a new podcast while you're away called the Beekeeper Connection, which has just started.
Oh,
And it's done by a couple of guys, one from Alaska and one from Canada.
sounds
It's quite
interesting.
interesting where they answer questions on every Saturday or Sunday in America. And we'll have a link to that one. But it's called the Beekeeping Connection. And Margaret's back. Yay! Thanks God.
Yeah.
It was crazy while she was away. Did you write that bit?
Yeah. No, of course I didn't write that bit. Yeah, but now calm has been restored.
That's right. Calm has been restored.
In our last newsletter, we just let everyone know we were back, and baby's doing fine. I'm a grandmother and Gary's a granddad, but we call her Oma and Opa. And everyone's doing well.
Why do we call ourselves Oma and Opa?
Well, it's the Dutch connection, you see.
Yes, the Dutch connection. Anyway, we were featured while you were away as well on this podcast called You're the Expert.
Wow, this sounds really cool.
It was funny.
Let everyone listen to this amazing piece of work.
Let's listen to this amazing podcast. And it's a show where they interview a beekeeper, and and they actually feature some audio from shows around the world. So have a listen to this.
But we've really saved the best for last. This one is my favorite show by far. It is from a beekeeping duo in New Zealand, and they call themselves the Kiwimana Buzz. And they have a segment every episode where they talk about crazy beekeeping stories, and it is my favorite of all segments.
Well, for this month's Crazy Beekeeping News, we bring you a story from Vietnam. Oh, man.
About how a
coach trip was interrupted and a whopping 22 passengers are seeking medical assistance after being attacked by bees because of one idiot.
Okay, so there was a bus trip was ruined. 22 people were attacked on this bus because an idiot did something. What did that idiot on the bus do that caused bees to attack everyone?
Put 60,000 bees in the bus with my name.
Because the person who was driving drove into a bee's nest.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
But also, could anyone understand them?
Where do you think New Zealand accent?
Who's to say what they said, you know?
I don't know if this is like the center of the Death Star in a beehive, but did he steal the honeycomb? Something like that?
Okay, let's find out. What did that idiot on the bus do that caused the bees to attack everyone?
One idiot peed on the beehive. It must have been in a tree or something, eh?
Oh, I don't know, but if he peed on them, I wonder if he got any stings on his appendages.
We can only hope.
That is true New Zealand justice right there.
That was funny.
I love that.
But that woman comedian, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know what she means that she can't understand us. I mean,
we could understand what she was saying, but something. But thanks to Ingo from Wales for telling us about that show. It's awesome.
That was awesome. He also sent us an email about the passing of a pet, and it was a real tearjerker. But thanks for sending that, Ingo, because yes, we love our animals and they are part of the family. So. That article was quite interesting.
Absolutely. And in this show also they interviewed Dr. Noah Wilson-Rich, who's a well-known beekeeping scientist. So it was quite interesting. There's some great stuff on there. Yeah,
it was good that they were asking what they thought would be going on.
Yeah, and it was good. And
it was kind of a competition on who understood or who got the right answers, eh? Yeah,
they were like quizzing them on beekeeping-related stuff. And if you want to listen to that show that they featured, that was episode 70, called "Don't Pee on Beehives."
God, they even named it after that, yeah.
Oh no, that's our podcast.
Oh, what do you mean then? Jeez Louise, make it clear, man.
The show that was featured in Be the Expert.
Oh, the show, the Kiwimana show.
Was Don't Pee on the Beehives.
Yeah, make it clearer. That's great. Thanks for clearing that up for me, Gary.
Absolutely. And we also have heard some news from John Hartnell, who gave us an email the other day. Apiculture New Zealand are having a conference which starts on the 19th of June in Rotorua. And speakers are including Michelle Taylor, Peter Dearden, John Hartnell, and Dr. Mark Goodwin is just a few of them.
Yeah, and we all know Michelle and Dr. Mark Goodwin from the Varroa book, the New Zealand Varroa book. So they're always, catching us all up with what's going on in the beekeeping world in terms of treatments and issues that are going on. So that might be well worth a visit.
Yes, it would be good to go to, and that's at Apiculture Conference 2016.co.nz if you want to go, and it starts on the 6th of June, so if you can make it there, that'd be awesome.
What else was going on? Wasn't there something in the Auckland Council?
It's coming up.
Oh, okay.
It's coming up.
Okay.
Anticipation. And Margaret, what's happening? New section for beginners?
Oh, yeah. We're thinking that we're going to put together a new section on the podcast now for beginners to share their stories. We often do blogs for people, but we're looking at some of the things that the beginners bring to us, and we're going to put them into this podcast. So we'll bring up a few of those when we have the podcast to just, if it's a question they've asked, it's probably something you might have asked yourself, no matter where you are in the world, you might have experienced their issue. So, yeah, we're looking at expanding on that. So it's all good.
Absolutely. And what's this robbing bees, customers lose colonies? Oh, was this the one I did?
Well, I think we went to a few beginners lately, and they're saying how busy their colonies are looking. And unfortunately, when we go in to have a look as part of our beekeeper services, they're actually just been robbed out. So the entrance to the hives are just absolutely packed with bees, and then inside there's just a dust storm of wax flakes falling to the ground and no honey.
Yes, we've struck a few of those lately.
Yep.
Make sure you have your hives reduced down and small entrances.
Absolutely, and having robbing screens will help you with this. And the questions that I've had about robbing screens is, my bees aren't really used to it. Well, the behaviour of a bee is that they will learn how to use the robbing screen, and it just gives them that extra line of defence, like a fence around your property. It's the same thing for the bees, and that if you want to take it off before they've even got to that point, I think you're really making a big mistake. Entrance reduction just doesn't work.
Absolutely, and we're doing a lot of treatments lately with the oxalic acid vaporizer. How's that going?
Yeah, the colonies that failed for reasons that we're experiencing here in Auckland and West Auckland, is that autumn has gone on quite long with warm temperatures. So there's been a lot of Varroa, spread, and very quickly. And while I was away, we did lose a couple of colonies due to Varroa build-up so quickly that the bees couldn't cope with it. So we lost a couple of honeys.
Couple of honeys lost.
Couple of honeys. I lost my awesomeness hive.
I know.
So
sad.
there was some tears, I must say.
There was a few people emailed you about that.
Oh, I'm very sad about that. And we have got a split that we did, and she's doing well. So that one seems to be coping, and losing that colony was really quite gut-wrenching for me.
Yeah, I think the mites have... We even treated just before, or just as autumn struck.
Yeah, we did.
And the mite counts were low, but then they started going high, didn't they, I found?
Yeah. I think what's happened is that because of that foraging, like I said, the bees are going out a lot longer, and they were picking up a lot of Varroa. And if everyone was just caught not treating enough or not monitoring, is really the point, is that those populations can grow so quickly. So we've been doing another lot of treatments that we want to finish, in the next 2 weeks. We're on our third one for them, and we're using the vaporization of oxalic acid. So, I think everyone check your hives. Some of the treatments need warm weather. So be careful. Don't use treatments where they need warm weather. As this temperature drops, they're not going to work, and they won't be as efficient.
No, and we talk about that further. We've got a question from Gareth about that, so we'll talk about that later on.
Awesome. Well, we've already mentioned about the longer foraging season we've experienced, and this week sees the temperatures drop right down again. So we're looking at about 13, 14 degrees Celsius here in Auckland. And then during the days, it was going up to about 19, 20, but that's even dropping now. And as Gary said, we've had some storms and heavy rain, and it's been a change definitely. And 1st of June, just around the corner, winter.
Yep, we've been practicing lighting the fire. It's going well. The house is hot.
I love my fire. I'm so glad we got it. And awesome. There's a lot of bugs coming out of that firewood though.
Yeah, well, a lot of queens from wasps in the firewood.
that's pretty cool. We're killing them, so that's awesome. And I measured one the other day that came out of the firewood, and it was 2.5 centimetres long. And then I popped it next to an ordinary, worker, and the worker was about 1 centimetre. So they are a lot bigger.
Yes, a lot of wasps around at the moment. People are losing hives because of them, so you've got to watch out for those, or they're yellow jackets or German wasps. Yep, crazy.
Okay, what else did we get up to? Well, we've tidied up the apiary, and we've been doing some work around the pallet bridge of death is gone. Gone to the sky where the fire has taken it. And, the property is looking pretty cool. And, we've been really working hard on getting the breeding side of the apiary cleared. And all the girls are all on one side. So we're looking at feeding, unfortunately, because although we've had the longer foraging, the bees have been trapped, because of the rain and stuff. And they've been eating a lot of honey.
Yes, absolutely.
So we kind of left with this decision that, I don't really like to feed the bees, but got no choice. So some of the colonies we've stored honey on the top of the winter down hives. And there are risks with that, because what happened when we got some stormy weather, the boxes were moved, by the wind, and they got some cracks in it. And next thing you know, bees from goodness knows where were emptying it out, and when I finally got in there to have a good look, they had emptied out all the honey stores for one of my colonies, so I was pretty annoyed about that one.
Did that hive have a big rock on it? Because or did the wind was strong enough to blow it off?
What do you mean, has it got a rock on it?
On top of the roof. Did it have a big weight on it? Because I'm just concerned that the wind's blowing the boxes around. But
no, but the entrance was reduced and everything like that. So it's only that it's just moved. The boxes have just moved. So, this can happen to anyone. And sometimes because it's a storage hive as well, it hasn't got as much propolis.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more, moves a bit. It wasn't a big gap, but just enough for the bees to think, oh, goodness me, time for tea and honey.
They take every opportunity.
And I know it wasn't owls, because I watched the flight path of the bees and definitely going up into the hill. So someone around here has got very hungry bees, which have eaten out all that stores. But, this is nature. So that's the risk you take storing the honey in the apiary.
Okay, let's move on to blog recap. Blog recap, where we recap the blogs.
On the blogs that you have loved to listen to.
But this month has been a bit...
Oh, no, not listen to.
Not so good. Yes, listened.
Listen?
Yep.
Listen and read?
Well, we only released 2 this month, and they're both podcasts, so you had to listen to them.
Ah, I see. So these are the ones that you guys have chosen. So what was the first one, Gary?
Proven Bee Sting Techniques at Work, episode 89. That was a popular blog post. And the second one was the Honey Bee Removal King, JP the Bee Man.
Yeah, that was good. We love JP, and he's such an interesting guy, that's for sure. You guys are really enjoying his podcast. So, yeah, and those of you who haven't, really have a look at that one. I mean, have a listen to that one. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to beekeeping news. First one, Auckland Council won't budge on herbicide use. This is a shocking story from the City of Auckland.
Very disappointed to see this, seriously, because we've had issues with Auckland Council in terms of their use of herbicides, and suddenly all these orange road edges or verges or curbs or whatever you want to call them, because instead of just using the mowing situation and some proper weeding.
Elbow grease.
That's the one. They've been using glyphosate.
Yes, and we actually take our dog to the local park, and you can actually see, I'll put a photo of that in there, the dead grass on the edge of the footpath. I mean, why do they need to spray that?
Just ridiculous. If they just keep mowing it, it'll form its own, end to the path where the path meets the lawn, and
exactly.
never the twain shall meet.
And there's a quote from Miss Auckland Council has rejected a move to overturn its controversial use of herbicides to control weeds in parks, playgrounds and streets. Let's listen to a audio sample from Radio New Zealand where they talk to a councillor.
Now, Auckland Council has rejected an attempt by two councillors to get it to overturn its controversial decision to only use herbicides to control weeds in playgrounds, parks and streets. In the past, many parts of the city used more natural forms of weed control like hot water and machinery and natural weed-killing agents. But the chair of the council's Environment Committee, Wayne Walker, says last year the council reduced the budget for weed control, and that made it only cost-effective for chemicals to be used. He says this goes against the council's environmental policy to minimise the use of agrochemicals. But when he and a fellow councillor tried to put an amendment to the council at a meeting on Friday, it was rejected. And Councillor Wayne Walker is with me now. G'day, Wayne.
Good afternoon.
Hi, can you explain this change last year? What exactly was the change in terms of how the council controls weeds?
The change last year was all about cutting costs. It was very poorly promoted and advertised, so I would suggest many people in Auckland are under the assumption that their local parks are still having non-chemical forms of weed management, when in actual fact they're being sprayed. So people are going into areas where you've got playgrounds, parks, where small children are running around on bare feet, pregnant women, elderly people, people with immune systems that are compromised, where sprays like glyphosate, which is a probable carcinogen, that's the official ruling on it, are being used. And that's simply not good enough. I was responsible for leading out a weed management policy that's all about minimising the use of agrochemicals for health reasons, environmental reasons, and for best practice. In actual fact, we're doing the exact opposite.
Well, I agree with you, Mr. Wayne Walker, Councillor Wayne Walker. That is crazy.
Yeah, I support his position as well, because I think that money and the health of their people is very important, and we need to let them know that this is not appropriate, that money is driving the situation, where the difference is, according to what Councillor Wayne Walker's saying, is very minimal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, they're saving money, but they're probably causing more cancer to their citizens. I mean, isn't this insane?
Yeah. And then on the other hand, they're supporting people having bees, and then they want to, spray parks, and they want to spray roadways where the drains go into go down the hill and into the main waterways. So, I think Auckland Council need to just check it out. And our concern is also that, are they getting bullied by Auckland Transport? Because, we've been getting letters from them saying that they manage the roadsides, and that if we don't let them spray, that we have to manage the land ourselves. And that's just madness. It's not our land. Why should we manage it? But we don't want to have sprays there. So this is a position that I've held for a while, and I don't want to be bullied because it's their land, but their land is affecting the health around here of the natives. So, you know, it does concern me. And the waterways, it's a big, big concern. They've proven how dangerous it is, eh?
Absolutely. And speaking of bullies, you've got some news from the Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, there's some bit of tactics going on. I think in some ways Auckland Council have really shown that you don't have to have bees under the Resource Management Act, and quite happily bees can be managed through a simple nuisance bylaw, which covers a great deal of things like dogs and cats and anything that you sort of are annoyed with or is causing you concern. You know, you can bring it up through that method. But Hawke's Bay are trying to charge people $180 and starting to enforce an old law that they've had, or bylaw they've had. And it's just not appropriate today because bees are in trouble, and councils should be encouraging no herbicides, and they should be encouraging beekeeping.
Absolutely. They should be giving people money to keep bees, not take money away.
So. And the other thing is that central government are already collecting and registering everything, so they're managing it. So, you know, like you asked before, what actually are Hawke's Bay Council doing for the residents, and what exactly does that fee cover, and what are they giving to their ratepayers to make that fee, you know, justified in any way? Are they supporting people? They have to manage nuisance anyway, so they shouldn't charge people for keeping bees.
No, I agree, unless they're going to give them free jars for their honey or something. I don't know. I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we'll have to get hold of Janet Luke from down that way, because she has been involved in this quite a bit.
Yeah,
so
and I think
find out what's happening.
Yeah, stay strong, beekeepers down there, and you know, let the council know that this is just not on. We're already getting managed. We're already registering our colonies, and this is not going to stop people who are naughty ratbags.
Absolutely. And speaking of ratbags, Manuka madness driving hive poisoning. This is crazy up north, which we believe is caused by the Manuka madness.
Well, we don't believe it. This is what's been stated in this article. Is that right?
Yep, it's been stated in this article, and I believe the article.
I believe the article too.
In my opinion, the article is correct. David is still awaiting results, because David Yankee, who's a queen breeder up north, he lost over 400 hives, he believes, because of poisoning. And currently the poison is being studied by MPI to see what kind of poison it is. And they've been keeping bees there for 30 years, and they breed queen Carniolian bees for commercial sale. And my reports here, no real beekeeper would do this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, if they're real beekeepers, then yes, they would be a bit more respectful anyway.
Absolutely. And why is money more important than bees?
Yeah, it's a big question.
Yeah, I did drop David an email, but I haven't heard back from him. So I've just heard any updates?
Any updates, yeah. And I think that's why this article is quite appropriately named, called Manuka Madness.
Yes, I totally agree. And hopefully David and Rachel can come out of this and still be have a viable business. So if you need any Carniolian queens, check out David and Rachel's site, which is queenbees.co.nz, and help those guys out. Yeah,
and they just found a whole lot of bees. Just read that article, and the bees were just dead out front, and that's generally a sign of poisoning. So have a look at that article, guys. And it affects us local Kiwis because of all this Manuka honey situation, and there's a lot of competition out there, and sad to see it going this way.
Yes, crazy. And I mean, David and Rachel don't even collect Manuka honey. They're just queen breeders. So, it's, I don't know.
It's just crazy.
That happened over Easter weekend in New Zealand, so...
crazy and not like a fox.
And we've got some feedback from Langford Parton.
Langford Parton, yep.
That's just sad. I agree.
Yep.
I agree, Langford.
We concur, Langford.
And here's another one.
Christos Busdicus.
Okay. It's terrible that some poisoned the most useful and lovely insect. I am very sorry and hope this is the last episode in your country. I send my best wishes.
Oh, thanks, Christos and Langford. We feel exactly the same, that this is just a terrible state of affairs for New Zealand beekeepers, and they should be hanging their head in shame.
Yes, let's hope it is the last occasion, but I don't think it will be, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that one.
And speaking of other mongrels, thousands of Ebbw Vale honeybees were killed by vandals. This has happened in the Ghent Wildlife Trust in Wales. 2 beehives have been pushed over by vandals. Luckily, the queen survived, but this kind of behaviour has to stop.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you have to say it in a Scottish accent, don't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Wales, not Scotland.
Oh, Wales, sorry.
You've just offended all of our Scottish
I'm so
listeners.
sorry. My deepest apologies. Please hear me from my heart.
They are completely separate countries.
Yeah, so in your Welsh accent then. Because no one can understand the Kiwi accent, apparently.
Well, we've been to the South Wales, haven't we? We almost got hypothermia.
Yeah, geez, it was cold, man.
The next day we were camping and
we left.
We went to a camping shop and got an Arctic sleeping bag, and the next night we were fine.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, that was quite an interesting time on a camping event. So, so the 2 hives at the Ebbw Vale offices of the Ghent Wildlife Trust were tipped over and smashed with large stones and logs. Around 2/3 of the bees died after being exposed to rain and cold, while all their larvae perished. Yes.
Why do people do this beep stuff?
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. That's why.
It's crazy. I don't know. Well, I hope if you guys are listening, hope you can bring those hives back.
Yeah, we feel for you, and all the best. Luckily, at this time of the season, you should be able to build up some more colonies. So all the best with getting that sorted out, and I hope they find out who did it.
Yeah, and perhaps and maybe the security can get improved, but it's hard, because bees are usually in places that are quite remote, so.
And if it's a wildlife place, you'll be getting a lot of visitors and stuff that might be sneaking in. So, yeah, it's a tough one, that one. But we have had some feedback from you guys, and this one's from Barbara Sullivan. She said, "That's so sad to hear."
Yes, I agree, Barbara.
Yeah.
It's shocking. And we also heard from Rita James.
Yep.
What is it with people? Don't they realise if we don't have bees, we don't get our food pollinated, hence no fruit? I agree, Rita.
Yeah, we love our fruit.
And Joyce Kennedy says...
Sick.
Yes.
We hear you. Thanks, Barbara, Rita and Joyce, for your feedback. This is the kind of thing that we need to share around, so create awareness on how things affect our little insect girls. And,
Absolutely.
All right, what's next, Gary?
Well, next one, more positive news. Can I fix crystallized honey? This is a great post from Rusty from the Honey Bee Suite.
Yes, she's a clever girl, this one.
It does annoy me when people tell us honey is spoilt when it's only become crystallized. Rusty explains what causes it and what you can do to fix it. And here's a quote. Rather than accepting crystallized honey as a unique product, we waste a lot of effort trying to fix it. Some customers actually dispose of solidified honey believing it's turned or became unsafe to eat. Nothing could be further from the truth, Rusty says.
Yeah, we hear you, and Rusty's so right. We've done some articles previously saying that crystallized honey holds the same health factors regardless of whether it's crystallized or not. So don't throw out your crystallized honey. In fact, it's very crunchy.
It's easy to spread on your toast as well.
Crunchy.
So if you do sell raw honey, guys, make sure you tell the people that if it goes crystallized, it's not gone off. Because a lot of people in the public don't realise that.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And, the public do need to know that, and that it's a natural process that it can occur because of change in temperature. So, don't put it in the fridge.
That's another thing. Why do people put honey in fridges?
I don't know. I think it's like that whole jam thing, and you don't want your jam to go off or whatever. So I think a lot of people put it in the fridge to keep it safe. But it's okay if it goes crunchy.
Yes. And second post this month from Rusty from Honeybee Suite. Should I destroy extra queen cells?
Oh, this is a real thing for me, and I'm glad that Rusty is talking about this, because my personal view is that we should try and look after queen cells. But anyway.
Well, I think every queen cell is another hive, isn't it?
Ah, yeah, and plus another opportunity, for the girls. And they do it for a reason, and Rusty goes over that in this article.
Yep, I agree with Rusty. Queen cells are valuable and should be utilised. And this is the quote from Rusty. When beekeepers make splits, they frequently destroy all the queen cells except one. Other beekeepers routinely remove queen cells to prevent swarming. Others simply excise queen cells whenever they see one.
That's like removing and destroying, isn't it? So my answer to this is that, think about it, guys. Why do you think bees would have more than one queen cell?
I think it's insurance.
Yeah, it's like an insurance policy, and the strongest one will survive. And, have a look at that article, because it will give you some food for thought on this one. But it's a strong commercial practice to destroy your queens every season.
And she made a good point there, because a lot of beekeepers look at the queen cell and go, oh, that's a nice long queen cell, the queen must be awesome. But the queen cell's not made by the queen, it's made by the bees in the hive, isn't it? So that doesn't really reflect how good the queen's going to be.
Well, it doesn't, but I sort of had the same thinking that, when it's a bigger cell, it's going to be a stronger queen or whatever. But some of the small ones, they look so tiny. I think, that doesn't look quite right. So it's a tough one. But Rusty does talk about those kind of things. So you have a think about it. Why do you think the colony would have more than one queen cell?
Anyway, had some great feedback. We love feedback from our
from you guys. It's awesome. And Steve Lawson says, is the answer for backyard hobbyists, beekeepers, to move the old queen into the new split and leave all the queen cells in the old hive for the bees to work out which is the best queen to survive?
I think so.
Yep. Well, when we do our splits, we actually move the old queen away and let them raise a new queen at the existing position. So the queen thinks she's swarmed, and generally in that situation we preempt it, so they don't usually raise a whole heap of queens, do they?
No. I think in the past what I've tended to do, if they've got a lot of queen cells, I probably put 2 in each nuke, and to see how they go. When
we do the preemptive split, they seem to not raise a whole heap of them, so I just generally leave them to work it out. But there is a risk with that one of the virgin queens may hatch and decide to leave and take some of the colony with her. So there is a risk involved with that. You just have to decide how you want to manage that, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we've got another one from Chris Mahari, and he says make indoor mini hive terrarium and feed it over winter and see how it goes in summer.
What's a mini hive terrarium?
It's like a glass cage, or it's not a cage, it's like a glass pot plant or something.
Okay.
In the 70s and 80s they started producing them for indoor plants, and it was it was just designed to put a few plants in. The concept is that you didn't have to manage it as much.
So people are putting bees in them now?
Well, it's an interesting suggestion. I'm not sure how it would work, because you'd have to keep her Because when you've got a queen cell, you've got to keep it over 26 degrees, don't you? And the cluster has to really make her hot because the queen requires a higher temperature than normal brood cells.
Indeed. So, well, thanks anyway, Chris, but I'm not really sure what you mean. But yeah, we'll find out.
Oh, he's saying to look after them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that's an idea. You could put it into a nuke box as well and have a few bees there and see if they will produce and build up a colony over winter. It might work in New Zealand because of our temperate weather, but I'm not sure how it would work overseas, and not sure where the bees would go to feed or anything.
No, crazy.
Yeah, well, thanks, Steve and Chris. It's great to get your feedback and get us thinking about some new things and how you guys would, look at it and what you're thinking. So that's great. So, moving along.
How does honey help diabetics?
This is a good article. The quote says, a traditional mindset exists among many people that honey must not be consumed by people suffering from diabetes. Now, people are aware of the fact that sugar intake is dangerous for diabetics. Keeping that fact in mind, they simply believe that honey should never be added to the diet of a diabetic. Just because honey is sweet to taste, it does not mean that honey and refined sugar plays equal roles.
Is it because it releases into the bloodstream longer, is it?
It's a good question, Gary, and this article does go into it in quite a bit of detail, and it does say that it's not the hit that refined sugar makes. But read this article, and there's some really interesting things there. And on a personal note, I've always wondered how diabetics are allowed to eat all that carbohydrate stuff, which is supposed to release energy, and it's all refined carbohydrates, and why they allow diabetics to eat a lot of that stuff which they're not even using the energy from. And that honey seems just so logical, because it is a sweetener, but it's a long, slow release, as you asked before. So this article does go into it in a bit more detail. Definitely worth having a read, guys. And
have a read, and then maybe go and talk to your doctor, because, talk to your doctor about this article and see what he thinks, and, make up your own mind, I guess.
The article kind of says that, that eat raw honey, but not in large quantities. So it's, typical. Don't overdo it, guys.
Yes, exactly. And full disclaimer, Margaret and myself are not doctors or ever played one on television.
That's right. And that's why, we wouldn't say that's why we report on this article and that we didn't write it.
Absolutely. And let's move on to laundry work.
Laundry? What the heck is that all about?
Nation's biggest honey packer admits laundering Chinese honey. American.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't it go all soapy? American honey packers have been caught buying mislabeled Chinese honey. The honey was mislabeled to avoid import duties imposed in the US in 2008.
Cheeky RatBags.
There's another good reason why we shouldn't import honey here. So
Absolutely.
we can't do this kind of counterfeiting. Anyway, this is a quote from the article. There's bombshell news from the world of the honey 2 weeks ago, and somehow we missed it. Two honey packers, we didn't miss it. Two honey packers, including one of the largest in the country, Grobe Farms, of Osted in Michigan, admitted buying millions of dollars worth of honey that was falsely labelled.
Wow, so they actually admitted to this. Jeez Louise.
Caught.
Do you admit it? How many times has it happened before? And, the beekeepers in America must be quite annoyed with this because, you go to a lot of effort to create your honey and extract it and,
Yeah. I think it's coming in, they're coming in mislabelling it, calling it things like sugar sauce or something that doesn't sound like honey.
Ah.
And then but it is actually honey, and that's how they're getting around these tariff things.
So they're being fraudulent.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. have a look at this article, guys, and it just brings me to this point where I think if you're a consumer, only buy guaranteed local honey. You know, get to meet your beekeeper. And
that's in our feedback this week.
Is it?
You know, Laura
Fogelman Doherty. She's from California, eh?
Yeah, we went out for dinner with them.
Absolutely. And she says, what does she say, Gary?
Know your beekeeper. I know mine.
That's because it's her husband, John.
That's right. We know John as well. That's good.
Indeed. We were fortunate enough to meet them when they popped over to New Zealand. So, yeah.
That's a while ago now, eh?
Yeah, a few years ago now. I hope everything's well with you guys.
Yep. Shout out to you guys. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
And Amanda Jackson Pierce says, I get my honey from the backyard. Even in the city, it's possible.
Yeah, go Amanda. You go, girl.
Absolutely. And what's this next one?
Mampak Ignaran. Yes, and it's not just honey being relabeled. This needs to stop.
Absolutely.
Here.
I agree. And what's the next comment?
That's Rewai Takahu. And she says, no.
Apostrophe.
Yes, absolutely. Exclamation mark.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Laura, Amanda, Mampak, and Rewai. We appreciate you taking time to give us your feedback because, you know, I think you're right. Local is best. And then you absolutely aren't getting ripped off by any huge companies that are trying to fraudulently sell their products.
Yes, absolutely. So try and find your local beekeeper and support them if you can.
Yeah.
Let's move on to questions from you. Questions from you, where we answer questions
from you.
That's it. First question, Thermosolo Hive.
Thermosolar.
This is from Louis
Heritas.
He's from Puerto Rico.
What?
I think he lives in America now, but I'm not sure.
What do you think of this hive? It looks promising, but think it will depend on your environment. So there's an link to that article.
There's a link to an Indiegogo campaign to get support for this new kind of hive. It's a thermosolar hive, and it basically has a solar panel on the roof. And you open the roof, and the heat of the sun heats the hive up and kills all the varroa mites, and doesn't kill the bees. My questions would be how does it reduce the heat if it gets too hot? I mean,
I guess you cover it up with a blanket.
Yeah, I know, but does it get to a? But I mean, if someone forgets to put the hive on, does it just keep getting hotter and hotter, or does it have some kind of cut-off system?
Oh, you mean like some sort of thermostat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
good question.
I watched a video and it didn't really answer that question. So
okay, I actually didn't see it. So I think that on the surface, the idea is that it will help with varroa management, and that would be a good thing. But yeah, I think that the question you're asking has merit because, you know, how do you keep it at that level? So maybe that will be part of their development. They'll need to put something like that in.
Yes, and that campaign has been fully funded. In fact, 122% of it. So it's going to happen. And I do agree that varroa mites, the varroa mite can't handle the heat that a bee can handle. It's about 2 or 3 degrees, and we've talked about that in the past. So it would work. I just think that you must need to check that you don't accidentally cook your bees. Yeah,
it's interesting because we had a beginner call us to inspect their hive, which hadn't been inspected for over 6 weeks, and we believe it could have been a bit longer than that. But that colony was absolutely chock-a-block, eh? There was like honey everywhere, in between the boxes, in between the frames, all on the roof mat. There was 4 3/4 Langstroth boxes, and we did a sugar shake on the bees, 300 bees, and we had
One might.
One might. So that colony was pumping, eh? They were really warm, so maybe there's some merit to this.
Well, we talked about this before, didn't we? Not in this show, but in real life. That maybe that's the reason why.
In real life? Is this not real?
Off mic, we talked about.
Off mic, we had a discussion. Yes,
the worry hive is the principle of this, that they are actually smaller and more compacted, so that helps with the varroa mites. Yeah, we've been
having some feedback about that from others about worry hives and how they, because they're a squarer box and they can condense the cluster better, that they manage varroa better. So, yeah, there's a lot of things going on at the moment in terms of the heat side of things, so that must be the new studying or research that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about that bee sauna a while back, didn't we? And that's I don't think that got funded enough, so that mustn't happen.
Okay. All right, so what are we up to now?
Well, we've got another question.
Another one, so.
From Gareth, all the way from Huia.
So what does Gareth ask, Gary?
He asked, what treatments do you recommend? He did treat a couple of months ago, but he's not sure if that treatment worked very well. And he just wonders, what do we stock in our shop? So I wrote back to him, hi, Gareth.
Gareth.
We sell two treatments here. We sell Epi-Life-Far, which is a thymol-based product, but that product is best to be used when it's 20 to 25 degrees centigrade. And this today, across most of New Zealand, it was below 19 degrees centigrade. And that's 66 Fahrenheit for you people in America or overseas. So at this time, I wouldn't recommend Epi-Life-Far because the temperatures are not hot enough. But if you're in an area which is hot enough, then you probably could get away with it. But I wouldn't recommend it. So the second product we sell is the Kiwi Exilic Acid Vaporizer, which is a vaporizer which vaporizes exilic acid crystals, which you can use any time because it does the heating for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, the vaporizer is like a tool that you insert into the colony, into the hive box through the entrance, and you connect it to a battery, and that power source will create the head of the vaporizer to heat exchange the oxalic acid. And this is actually one of the easy treatments that you can use in winter, and when it's, a bit less reliable, the weather actually, and this is the one that we're doing at the moment. And both these treatments are classed as organic because they're not man-made and they don't have the resistance factor for varroa that the synthetics have.
Yes, absolutely. So if you have any questions, email us at info@kiwimana.co.nz and we'll do our best to answer your questions. And also on the right-hand side of our page is a speak pipe button or a leave a voicemail button. You can also leave a voicemail.
Awesome.
So we'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah, don't be shy, guys. We love to hear from from you guys, and a recording, you may well get it on our podcast or maybe a newsletter. You just never know.
You never know. Let's move on to random review. Random review, where we randomly read a review
from you that you sent to us to review.
Absolutely. And this month, we're back to winning a $30 voucher, KiwiMana gift voucher to use on your beekeeping supplies.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying thank you, and also gives us opportunities to do things better. The review, we like positive reviews, of course, but any comments or feedback is always great to hear about what you think about our products. So thanks for taking the time to do this. And
absolutely, we had 8 reviews this week, so we use a site called random.org to generate a random review.
Wonderful, wonderful. Who's going to be the winner?
This is the question we must ask. Wait a minute. Let's generate a random number.
The winning number is
08.
Number 8.
Woohoo! Wow, that's a good one. And
Who's number 8? Number 8 is a beekeeping. The product they bought was a beekeeping course, Intro to the World of Beekeeping. This is from Tracy Robinson.
Oh, good on you, Tracy. Yeah.
An excellent course for a beginner. I have no experience with bees and now feel confident enough to begin keeping bees. Margaret delivers the course in a carefully structured manner, answering any queries as she goes. The course ends with a very good apiary visit, allowing you to look inside the hive and identify aspects which have been discussed earlier in the course. Both Gary and Margaret are very nice people who are more than happy to help. I couldn't recommend this course highly enough. And you also get a free cup of coffee from me. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that was
Thanks,
lovely.
Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy. And yeah, awesome. So get in touch with us, Tracy, ASAP.
Yep.
And claim your prize.
Absolutely. And if you need to claim your prize 2 weeks after this show is released, and you'll get your voucher.
And you'll put the notes for that on the
show notes.
On the show notes. Cool bananas.
So thanks, Tracy, and everyone else that left the review. That's fantastic. And now we're going to move on to feedback from you. That Tui's loud this week.
She sure is. She's loud and proud while we have the rain falling down. So good to hear from her again.
Absolutely. So I've got feedback from you. This is from a software called Stitcher, which you can use to listen to podcasts on your iPhone or Android.
So what is it? An application you can use?
It's like a podcast thing. Yeah.
Well, how does it work?
This is not beyond the scope of this conversation. It's an application that you install on your phone, and you can actually listen to your podcast through it.
Well, everyone needs to know that so they can listen to us more.
Exactly, and I have to apologise to Top Bar Guy because this has probably been on there for a couple of months and I didn't realise. But he gave us 5 stars, and he said, brilliant show. Always interesting, great topics for beekeepers no matter where they are located. Wow.
Oh, woohoo! Thanks, Top Bar Guy, and sorry for the delay, but we got it. It got here. Woohoo!
Yes, thank you very much. And here's an email we got from Brad Scott.
Okay, it says, hi, Gary and Margaret. My name is Brad Scott. Just to give you a little background, I just turned 50 years young in May 3rd, 2016.
Happy birthday, Brad.
Happy birthday, and all the best for that. And back to the email. I work in industrial refrigeration maintenance. I've got 5 kids, 2 have moved out, and 1 brand new grandbaby, 2 weeks old. Oh, how cool. I got interested in bees a little over a year ago. I was on the roof at work and I saw a bee fly by, then more, and soon I was surrounded by bees. Then the sky was filled with a swarm. Then, just as they started, they ended and were gone.
It's a sign.
Absolutely. I looked up more videos on beekeeping. Pretty soon, I was hooked.
That's what happens.
I don't have much time to read, so I looked for a podcast, found one, Long Lane Honey Bee Farm. It wasn't bad, but they seemed to have stopped. I wanted to know more, so I could go out and buy some bees. I went to the local library and checked out some books on backyard beekeeping.
Always a good idea.
Yeah. I baited my traps then with lemongrass oil, set them out on the 1st of April. It's about that time I discovered this cool little podcast called Kiwimana.
Awesome.
I fell in love with it. Lots of good information, good tips and news for today. I have to tell you, I thought your podcast has been going downhill ever since I started listening to it. And since then, I have listened to every podcast. Yes, all 90 episodes from the newest to the oldest. That's why they went downhill.
That's why they went downhill. Yeah. You should re-listen to the oldest, and then you can say we improved.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we did.
Anyway, I'm even more hooked now. I was so excited when I discovered that I had some bees in my box. They were very small, about the size of a baseball, but today I found them build a queen cup. I don't see any eggs or larvae. All I see is nectar and some pollen. 2 of my other nukes have caught swarms, so I just put them together. Keep up the good work. I'll be looking for more. Thanks, Brad.
Awesome, Brad. Thanks for your message.
Yeah, cheers. And good work there. And I think you've got the right idea to add them together if they don't give you what you need, and you always need to identify that queen.
Yeah.
So that you know that they are going to be queen right. And
it could be a virgin queen, eh?
Absolutely, yeah.
So give them about, 40 days from when you first got them and see what happens. But if it's only a small cup, you probably can see her anyway.
Usually at about 26 days, she should be mated by then and starting to lay.
Yeah, should be. So, But, I think merging them is a good idea too.
Yeah.
So thanks, Brad, for your message. And thanks.
Awesome. We're really pleased to get your email, and welcome to the exciting and wonderful world of beekeeping.
Absolutely, and great to hear that we did improve. And the next message was on Instagram. This is from Anne Bergenstint. Bergstedt, and she says, this is probably about the last episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Not to mention Mr. DiCaprio himself. Really enjoyed this week's, guys. You have devoted listeners here in Los Angeles. Hurrah!
Woo-hoo!
That's awesome. Cheers, guys, and never stop saying absolutely or awesome ever. That's awesome.
That's awesome, Anne, and absolutely thrilled to get your comments.
Yes, and Anne is an actress and a musician from Los Angeles. And if you ever do a movie with Leo, Anne, make sure you tell him to drop us a line.
That's it.
Feel free to name drop us. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Anne. And we're happy to hear we've got some listeners in Los Angeles. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. We're really, we're really loving this feedback from over in the States. And, you guys are just awesome. And, we love it.
And we're so happy that you guys can understand us.
Okay, so what's happening on the Facebooks, Gary?
Got a message from Christopher.
Godden
from Brisbane.
All sunny Brisbane, I hear.
Oh, here it is. I've never been there. I must go there one day. Yeah. Hi, Gary and Margaret. Love the podcast. Keep it up. It's
banana.
I'm a new beekeeper in Brisbane, Australia. Just wondering if you have any podcast articles on the bench long hive I've seen on your Pinterest. Thanks heaps,
Chris.
And that's called the Lifestyle Hive, and we do have we have got some stuff coming up about that very soon.
That's going to be something that we'll be getting more into when we start our new preparations for the new season. So have a look at our newsletters. We'll probably put something in there closer to the day. So thanks, Chris, for taking time out from sunny Brisbane weather to get in touch with us. And, the bench hive is definitely going to be something that will make life a lot easier.
Yes, we have got a video coming out about that, and it'll be awesome, won't it?
I think so, and I'm enjoying using it. So it's all good, and we just hope that the colony gets through winter, and we can start using it through a full season. So
absolutely,
and watch this space.
And a huge
banana
to you, Chris. Yeah. Fantastic,
awesome.
And if you want to see what we're doing between podcasts, join our newsletter.
That's the thing to do, guys, because in our newsletter we talk about what we're going to do, what's been going on, what's local, what's overseas, and what's new.
It's absolutely, and the latest banana prices and other important information.
And, literature on bananas. So everything's happening here. And, as we now go off for a cup of tea and sit by the fire.
Absolutely, and it's kiwi.bz/sign up if you want to join our newsletter, or go to our website and look on the right-hand side.
And, as we start going into winter, I just want to thank you all for your feedback and calls and everything. And we just wish you all the best, our Kiwi beekeepers. We hope your hives survive. Feed them, keep them dry. And, we hope that, your hive survives, and we hope the best for you. And for all of you who are enjoying spring and splits and new colonies.
Swarms.
Yeah, you go, guys. And awesomely, love your bees, look after them, monitor them regularly.
Absolutely.
And get to know what's normal.
Absolutely. And we'll probably release some interview podcasts over the winter break, so we'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, those should be interesting. And, we'll work on a few things for later on in the next few months as well, eh?
Yep, absolutely. So thanks, guys, for joining us this week. We appreciate it. It's time for us to go.
We miss you already.
Until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya. Crunchy. Okay.
I'll do it again without you saying anything.